Welcome back. I'm Josh, serial entrepreneur and recovering professional procrastinator. And if you've watched my first two videos, then you know that I have waited a long time ever since first joining YouTube to actually posting any real content. And I've wanted to. I've always wanted to. For 13 years, I've wanted to, but I kept self-sabotaging. And the more I talk to other professional creatives or people who want to start something like a business or a video course or even something as seemingly simple as an Instagram account, the more I see that self-sabotage is sort of a common problem among all us creatives. You have a brilliant idea, there's a spark, you start with a burst of energy and enthusiasm, and then enter self-sabotage. Fear, procrastination, negativity, overthinking. Is that enough things? I hope so. I think I'm missing some. All those negative, destructive habits and their friends waltz in and crush your motivation. Or you just lose momentum. Maybe it just gets hard to continue because you underestimated the amount of work that it would actually take, or more likely, overestimated the time that you would have to dedicate to it. And so it just fizzles out and becomes yet another project that you need to put on the back burner or the back burner. There's pots behind the stove now because they're so far back there. So maybe, like me, you've finally had enough of that and want to break the cycle of self-sabotage. That's awesome. I hope we can do it together. First, you have to know your enemy. So let's identify two of the main saboteurs. And because I think we should all be kinder to ourselves, I like to think of these saboteurs as separate from our actual selves. They aren't you. Right? Instead of thinking, oh, I always do this to myself and I'm the worst and all that negative self-talk, think of yourself as like this creative hero of the story. And these different self-sabotage habits are like the bad guys who are trying to mess you up and stop you from reaching your goals. Okay? They're not you. So who are the main villains? You can think of them as mini bosses in a video game, for example. Well, boss number one is the perfectionist. And the perfectionist usually comes around at the end of your efforts. Maybe you're just about to mark it done, you're about to ship it and share it, and the perfectionist says little hurtful things that make us doubt ourselves and delay completing it and getting it out the door. You step back, you look at your work, and the perfectionist leans in close and says, "It's not good enough yet. What if people hate it? They'll probably hate it." So how do you defeat the perfectionist? Well, you can shut him up by changing your mindset about creative work and by celebrating your progress in smaller steps instead of striving for perfection all the time. So what does this look like? Maybe take, for example, the need to display your work, right? Getting yourself out there, publishing your first video or sharing your art or portfolio publicly. In steps the perfectionist, ready to stop us because it's not ready yet. But we need to put those things in perspective for ourselves, that our work as creative professionals is never truly done or set in stone. Unless you're a stonemason, then your work is literally set in stone. Even then, what I mean is that your creativity is in constant motion and constant improvement. So what you choose to publish at any given time is just a glimpse of something that you'll continue to improve upon, right? It's not ever the final version until you either give up or decide to do something else. So the fact that it isn't perfect yet isn't reason enough to delay putting it out into the world and then exposing your work to feedback and creative criticism that may even help you improve faster than you could have otherwise. People always like to say done is better than perfect, but then again, your career as a creative is never done. So as long as you're alive and you continue to create, you can always think of sharing work as just sharing the next progressive step in your process toward the next level of great and whatever perfection looks like to you personally. And after you share your progress, celebrate it. Try not to second guess it and then overthink what's already been published. You can congratulate yourself on being brave enough to hit publish and do a little dance, Be proud with progress and then get back to work on the next version, which will be even better. Boom, perfectionist roasted. Saboteur boss number two, the distractionist. You ever notice how in those Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice era movies, and yes, I enjoy those movies very much. Anyway, it seems like the people in those times were far more accomplished in a variety of creative skills than the average city-dwelling person today, right? They played instruments, they sang in public, they drew and painted, knit and crocheted, they knew all these different group dances, and they could do all these things before their early 20s. Why is that? Well, no cell phones, right? No TikTok, no Instagram, no distractions. And that equaled less procrastination and more learning and more doing. I mean, I suppose that's how it was anyway. That's at least what it seems like in those movies set in that era. And as we all know, Hollywood movies are reliably accurate historical representations. The point is, we who live in modern times have endless distractions to rob us of time and convince us that when it comes to the bigger, harder, more difficult things that we should do, that there will always be more time, right? Oh, I'll get to that soon. In fact, it's on my to-do list. And if you're like me, you started a to-do list because you wanted to start getting more done. But eventually that to-do list got so long, you stopped wanting to look at it. And somewhere along the way, it just turned from a to-do list into a would be nice to start someday list. Why? Because distraction. That's why. So how do you kill the distractionist? Time management and deadlines. One time management technique that works for a lot of people, especially creatives, is the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. And so to get more done, you literally eat a jar of sun-dried tomatoes before starting your work every day. It works. I'm just kidding. To use the actual Pomodoro technique, you can imagine cutting your workday into slices, like tomatoes. And that's essentially what the Pomodoro technique does. So here's how it works. You set a timer for 25 minutes. This is one slice, one Pomodoro. Number 2, you focus on doing one task during that time. No distractions, no multitasking, and definitely no social media. Step 3, when the timer is done, you take a 5-minute break, you get up and stretch, you move around, you grab a snack, whatever helps you refresh, preferably not on your phone. Then number 4, you repeat that 3 more times for 4 pomodoros, and then you've got a whole tomato, and then you take a longer break before your next step. And that's it. By breaking down your work into short, focused bursts, you can improve your concentration, avoid burnout, and get more done in less time. Pomodoro. Try it out, or comment other time management techniques that you've used below. The key is to try a technique for at least a week or 2 and see if it works for you and helps you to build a habit of undistracted doing. And the other distraction killer is deadlines. Yeah, that seems kind of self-explanatory, but you can get more granular with your deadlines, right? Set a date that you want to complete something by, or better still, break your bigger goals into smaller goals and then put deadlines on those smaller steps. You want to launch a website by March 1st? Great. But that's kind of a big thing to create a single deadline for. So to actually get that done in time for March 1st, you might decide on a domain name by January 15th. Gather your portfolio images by January 30th. Make one page of your website that has a gallery of portfolio images and your contact information by February 15th. Test and retest everything by the end of February and launch it on time on March 1st. Now notice how we actually killed both the perfectionist and the distractionist in one project because you're purposefully launching your website as simply as possible so that you can get it out the door, get it published, and get it into the world as soon as possible. One page with a gallery of your work and your contact info, that's all you need to get started. And now that it's launched, it's out there, you can start thinking of other pages. You can start thinking of other features, contact forms, email marketing, social channels, whatever. You can just pick one of those things and then create another series of small goals married to concrete deadlines and keep improving little by little, growing your audience and momentum along the way. Rather than trying to get all that stuff set up just right and delaying launching anything for another 2 or 3 years because it's just not good enough yet. So 2 bosses down. I'd love to slay more, but I'm trying to make videos of a reasonable length because I'm also just starting. And number 1, I respect your time, so thank you for watching this. And number 2, I don't want to spend another 2 weeks editing this and losing my momentum while slowly starting to doubt that it's not good enough for YouTube. I'm just trying to take my own advice. So remember, it's a journey, not a destination. It's about the process. It's not about perfection. You will face bumps and setbacks and challenges. Let's be honest, most of that is going to be coming from within. But by identifying your saboteurs, your mini bosses, like the perfectionist and the distractionist, and then taking strategic steps to beat them, you can build enough momentum to launch you toward actually achieving your goals. And since creative work is never truly done, when you do it this way, you may not even recognize how many goals you've already accomplished until you sit down and really think about the progress that you've made. You just fly past those goals and up and on to the next step in the journey. And speaking of goals and accomplishments, we made it to 40 subscribers. That's awesome to me. I mean, after just like 2 videos. So I hope I can make it to 50 subscribers next and I'll celebrate that. Yes, my goals are intentionally small. I really appreciate the comments too. So please, if you liked this video, consider leaving a comment below with your biggest self-sabotage struggle. And if you're working on it, maybe also one actionable step that you'll take to overcome it. If you like this video and want to see more, well, you know what to do. Bye.